Hello, I'm Skid from the Widescreen Gaming Forum. Today I'm going to be giving you a look at Rocksmith 2014. Now, just a quick note to my subscribers and anybody that found this video as a result of my channel. I am actually running this on a triple monitor setup, but the game pillerboxes to a 60:9 aspect ratio. So for the purposes of the video, I've just cropped it down to a 1080p video. Now, I'm actually fine with it being like that. I mean, basically, it means that I can just run it at my desktop's native resolution and I don't need to bugger about with the resolution. And for a game like this, having extra stuff on the left and right of the screen would serve more of a distraction, which would be counterproductive to what effectively the game's trying to achieve. Now, Rocksmith 2014 is effectively a game designed to help you, or designed to teach you and help you learn and practice how to play guitar and bass.
Rocksmith 2014.
Now, this is actually the second game in the series. They've labelled it as effectively 2014 because rather than it being a direct sequel like you would have with a standard game, this is effectively more like a new version, much like you would have with Office and that sort of thing. There is a lot of new stuff in this particular version, including sort of like 50 odd tracks, which if you go by the DLC cost, which I think is somewhere around about £25 per track, that would make this game effectively, or if you bought the game based strictly upon the price of the DLC and the number of tracks in it, you would effectively be saving more than 50%, because the games are like 40 quid and the DLC would come up to about, I think it's 125 quid. So if you judge it that way, it's actually a reasonable purchase. But if you have the original, other than the fact there's new tracks, they've effectively fixed a lot of issues with the old game. So they've improved a lot of things that weren't particularly that great, and they've added a whole bunch of new things. But also, if you have the original, you can buy effectively it's a license upgrade that allows you to import all the tracks from the original game into this one. Some people aren't particularly happy with the fact that they have to pay to do that, but as I said, it's effectively a license upgrade. They label it as an import tool, but they will have had to have relicensed the songs. I'm slurring my words. Yeah, they had to effectively relicense the songs to use them in this game. So the cost is effectively just to pay off that license, or the addition of that license. So, as I said earlier, this game is primarily designed to help you, or to teach you how to play guitar and effectively help you practice. So it does that in a number of ways. Firstly, we have lessons. I must apologise in advance if it sounds like I'm moving around. It's because I'm standing up and my microphone's in front of me, but my keyboard's not in reach. You'll see effectively in a second what I'm doing. But yeah, if my voice sort of like goes up and down or sounds like I'm further away, it's because I've moved forwards to push some buttons and I've not realised that the microphone's not in front of my face anymore. But yeah, if we go to lessons, then these are effectively exactly what they sound. They're video lessons with some practice riffs that are designed to teach you the basics or teach you particular techniques, how to perform them, and that sort of thing. For the most part, they're just videos with the occasional, or they're videos and then they'll effectively have a try it yourself section, and some of them will actually have a practice track attached to them that's designed to help you teach you that particular technique. So if you just have a look at the list here at the top, we've got some fairly basic stuff: how to attach your strap to the guitar, how you hold your guitar while standing up, which I am, how to hold it while sitting down, the basics of how to pick on your guitar, shifting around on the fretboard, what sustains are, what slides are, what bends are, etc. Now, the other two primary tools that are here to help you learn how to use the guitar would be the Guitarcade, which is pretty much designed to teach you how to, or the Guitarcade are effectively mini games that are designed to help you practice particular techniques in a fun way, rather than just repeating the technique over and over and over again. They're designed to effectively be fun, so like get scored for it. So they're effectively a way to incentivize you to practice particular techniques. The other way is to use Learn a Song. Now, Learn a Song is basically the core part of the game as far as I use it, in that you have all of your songs and you can just pick one and it will effectively teach you how to play that particular song. And we'll go into that in a second. But firstly, I'll just quickly go over, because effectively I'm going to be going through it in as I go through Learn a Song. The improvements, or the three main improvements that they've made over the original game. Now, firstly, navigating around is a hell of a lot easier. In the original game, it was an absolute pain. It was originally designed for consoles, but even then, the navigation was just pretty poor. But they've improved it massively now. So if I just go to Learn Song, I'm going to pick a song that I'm going to go to a particular riff of. So we'll do that.
Learn a song.
And just like that, I'm here. Now, in the original game, it would have been a lot more harder to do it. I mean, I already had it sorted by sorted by artist, so I could just tell it to go to queue. On the previous game, they would always sort by, I think it's alphabetically first, and it wouldn't remember if you had pre-sorted it by something else. So if you wanted to find something, you'd either have to scroll across to it, change the sort, and then find it, and it was just a real pain in the neck. The other two things that they've improved is the riff repeater, which we will get to in a second, and load times. Now, load times used to take about 5 to 10 seconds to get from the song, or from a song you've just played, back to the menu, and then they used to take another 10 to 15 seconds to get from the menu to a song that you've just selected. So you spent a reasonable amount of time just waiting for songs to load, and they've massively improved that. That was not the button I wanted to push. So I just want to change this arrangement. So pretty much it's already loaded in the background now. In the original game, the tuning would only come up after the song had loaded. This is pretty much the same sort of thing, but because everything loads pretty much instantly, there's next to no downtime or waiting of any sort. Now, as this screen is going to show you, it's going to effectively walk me through how to tune my guitar so we can make sure it's in tune. For the purpose of these sections of the videos where I'm actually going to be playing, I will be turning on my webcam, and it will appear in the top right hand corner. So hello. And that's just so that you can see that this is a real guitar I'm playing with, and you will be able to see me as I play, and then the more professional among you can criticise me to hell that my technique is poor, which is fine because I could use the pointers. Now, this is a real guitar, and it's effectively plugged in through this cable here into a USB slot on my PC. Now, this is a specific cable sold by Ubisoft, and the game specifically looks for it. There is apparently ways online that you could find that you can use other, effectively this is a, quarter-inch jack, I think they are, to a USB, so that you can use other ones, but you effectively have to use a workaround or maybe a crack or something to effectively avoid using this cable. I think the cable's like about 20 quid on its own, but if you then think that this particular guitar is actually effectively a fairly top-end beginner's guitar, it's about 300 quid, and if you want a cheap guitar, you're going to be looking at probably about 80, 100 quid, and then you're looking at, for that sort of price, a cheap Chinese knockoff, which it does the job. I mean, I have one sitting over there, you can't see it. I originally started with one, and it did the job all right, but this, just the quality, the sound of it, everything is infinitely better on this one. Plus, that's made of plastic, and this is actually properly made of wood, which is kind of important for a guitar because that's what gives it its tone. But yeah, so basically, I just pick a string, and it's going to feed it through to my computer and register it. Now, you should have known I was plucking the wrong notes. Now, there's a couple of issues that you should be made aware of currently with the game. Firstly, when you load this game, it's going to set this, because this is registered as an audio recording device, and it will set its volume to about 17%. Now, I have my guitar turned all the way up, and sometimes it will not pick up effectively that I've plucked a string. It just refuses to pick it up, and other times it's fine. While it's at 100%, it's pretty much okay all the time, but I have to have this all the way up for it to always pick it up. Now on cheaper guitars, they don't have as good electronics, and if you have, close that, and if you have a lot of electronic interference around, that can also mess with things. So by default, you may find that it's just not registering correctly as you're playing, in which case you'll want to, after launching the game, go into the Windows Sound Manager, find the recording device for this cable, and then increase the volume to about 30 or 50. You don't want to increase it too high, because the louder you increase it, the more effectively it's boosting the volume and the more distortion it will add to your playing. The other issue that I should mention is that the game doesn't allow you to use some USB headphones. So at the minute I'm using a pretty cheap pair of it's an analog headphones that you plug into a standard jack. It won't register on my USB headphones. It just doesn't work. I can set it as a default device and launch the game, and it just says that there is no output device, so it just doesn't see the headphones. Some people think it's a Logitech driver issue, but for all intensive purposes that shouldn't matter. So if you want to use a set of headphones, just bear that in mind, that some USB headphones just flat out won't work. And there's also the downside that if you do use USB headphones, you're going to add extra audio latency to the sound you're hearing. So effectively, if you pluck, it will get to your ears slower. And that isn't particularly useful if you're trying to learn how to play a song, because you will be out of time. Okay, so I'll quickly walk you through this interface before I start talking about the rift repeater. Now, this is basically the Noteway. Now, much in the same way that you would have in Guitar Heroes or Rock Band, the notes that you want to play will appear on this Noteway. Now, the way that this works is I have it set up at the minute as effectively a mirror image of my guitar. So fret 9 is actually here on my guitar, so that's 6, 7, 8, 9. And then the red wire, which is the big thick one, is this one up here. So it's designed to effectively be a mirror of your guitar, and you should effectively be mirroring what it's doing to be on the right chords and whatnot else. So that's basically how it works, and there's different icons and different symbols, which are the same thing. There's different icons that effectively define what type of note you should be playing. And otherwise they will just appear on, so like if it's a note on the big E string on the 9th fret, there will be a red block that will appear on the right hand side of this along the 9 lane. So that's the way that works. Now, previously I mentioned that one of the major things that they've improved was the rift repeater. Now, in the original game, if you wanted to effectively learn a riff and play it over and over again just to try and get used to it, you would have to exit back to the menu, select the song, select riff repeater, and then select the particular phases that you wanted to play, and you could only pick specific sections. So if you have a look at the top there, you can see that I've got... Yeah, sorry, I've got a little bit left. You can see at the top there's sort of like multiple little sections. Damn it, I'm going to have to open the riff repeater, I'm going to run out of time. You can see at the top there's little sections individually. Now, on the original game, it would pre-pick those sections, and you could only riff repeat those specific sections. And if you wanted to then try a different section, so another sort of pair, so say you wanted to practice that section there, you would then have to exit back out of the game, or out of the track, go back to the main menu, and then select that particular riff, and then load back into the game, and then retune again. So that's a lot of downtime just to change between practicing a particular section. Now, the riff repeater... Now, the riff repeater, as it sounds, is effectively designed to allow you to replay a riff or a particular section of the song again and again to improve your mastery of it. Now, the options that we have here, I can set the difficulty, which effectively increases how many the notes or how complex that particular section I'm actually playing becomes compared to what it should be. Speed is effectively how fast it's going. And then you have, I'm not sure what difficulty repetitions are. As a guess, difficulty repetition is probably you have to complete it that many times before it will level it up. If you select level up, it will then improve or increase the difficulty if you manage to successfully play it. Speed repetition is probably the same thing, and then accelerate will increase the speed if you slowed it down. Auto continue will be once you've successfully played a section, it will then continue with the rest of the song. And then you have master mode and view previous mistakes. I will get into master mode later. But for the purposes of this video, we will try this section because last time I tried it, I buggered it up royally. So let's see if I can do it any better. So that didn't go as bad as last time, but I still missed a whole bunch of notes, so it's not going to improve any of my sections. So we'll try this beginning section again. Buggered that up royally, never mind. Missed more notes. But that's been basically the general idea. It's designed to allow you to keep retrying a particular section until you've mastered it or until you've just improved on it. So this is a massive step up from what was originally in it, and it makes it a hell of a lot easier to use. Plus the fact that everything loads instantly makes it even better. So we'll exit out of the song. And I will show you the Guitarcade.
Guitarcade.
Now, as I said, the Guitarcade is basically just a series of mini games that you can use to improve particular skills or techniques. So if we go through them, Gone Wailing is designed to help you practice effectively your control with the pick, so being able to play loudly and quietly. String skipping is effectively being able to quickly identify and play particular strings. Duck Redux is designed to help you with your fretting, so your ability to find your way around the fretboard and hit the right notes. Ninja Slide is designed to help you with your slides, which are that sort of thing. And then Scale Warriors and Return to Castle Core Dead are probably the two most game-like modes. And Scale Warriors is designed to help you learn scales, whilst Return to Castle Core Dead is designed to help you learn chords. And yes, it's a zombie game. Then you also have Hurtling Hurdles, which is designed to help you with tremolos. Temple Bends, which is designed to help you master your bends, which are that sort of thing. Scale Racer Star Chords, they're more mini-game versions of the previous two, so they're more just practice rather than actual games. And Harmonic Heist, which I've not been able to get to work properly, is designed to help you learn how to play harmonics, which is basically a technique to make a more bell-type sound. Effectively, it's done by very lightly pressing on the string and plucking, and it just makes the string ring out. So it has a very it's a bell-like tone, is effectively it. But yeah, so we will give you a quick look at Temple of Bends because I know my bends could use work. along with the vast majority of my other techniques. So that's basically just telling me how to play it, that I just need to bend. So we'll make some noise to start. Green one. That one. Oh, didn't get it. Yeah, these challenges are basically just designed to help you improve your individual techniques. So we'll just pop back to the main menu and I'll show you some of the other features.
Guitarcade.
Now, score attack mode is effectively, it's much like Learn to Play, only... Excuse me. It's much like Learn to Play, only the difficulty is set depending on what difficulty you select. And it's a lot less forgiving. Unlike Learn Track or Learn a Song or whatever it was called, you can fail a score attack. If you play or miss enough notes in a particular section and you do that 3 times, you will fail a song. So effectively you won't finish it. But if you want to sort of like challenge how well you think you know a song, then this is a good place to do it. But if you just like don't like the idea that it's failing you while you're trying to learn, then you probably want to avoid this until you're more comfortable with the song. The other things to mention, there is a multiplayer mode. It's basically a split screen mode, so you can hook 2 guitars or a guitar and a bass up to the same computer, and you can just learn with your friends while they're next to you and so like play along. Tone Designer is effectively a amp suite. I don't know a massive amount about this sort of side of it. I don't know a massive amount about or any side of it, but basically I think the general idea of this is that you can effectively select multiple different preamps, so like filters, what do they call them, pedals, amps, and then I forget what that one's called, but multiple different bits of equipment, and you can modify them and you can create your own custom tones. So the default one that is set up is this one. But you can pretty much select a tone from any track that you have or you currently have. So if I pick an authentic tone, if I push the right button first, so that's going to change the pedals and some of the amps, and this should give me a different tone. So basically it's just a nice little amp sweep. But any sort of like tone that's available or that's in any particular track, you can pick it out and then you can just modify it, or you can just create your tone, your own tone, if you're that way inclined and know about such things, which I don't. But it's a very nice feature. The original one did have it, but this one is, again, a lot easier to use just because they've cleaned the interface up no end. Now, the next thing to mention
NonStop play.
is non-stop play. As it sounds, basically, you can probably see just from the options. You can use the song manager to select what songs from the entire list or the library you have. You can select any of them and just sort of like pick which songs you want and then just start non-stop play, and it will just send out one track after another, after another, after another, and you can just play. So if you just want to like practice playing songs for 90 minutes, then this is the good way of doing it. If you just want to relax, again, this is a good way of doing it. Another advantage, of course, this particular mode is your, what do they call it? Your note streak carries between songs. So if you're trying to get as high a note streak as possible, this is a reasonable way of doing it.
Session mode.
Now, the last thing is session mode. Now, this is basically a way to help you learn how to play with a real band and just jam. It's a little bit beyond my skill level at the moment, but the general idea is that you can select multiple different instruments, and that those instruments will then try and match how you're playing. And it's just a way to effectively practice without any restraints. But unfortunately, it does require a certain level of effectively knowing what would sound good. It does help a little bit. I mean, I'll show you the interface. It helps you a little bit by the fact that it gives you the, it gives you effectively a scale down at the bottom there. Now, the reason it's giving you a scale is because the notes within the scale will sound good together. So this is actually a power chord based upon that. So that sounds, it doesn't sound bad, it doesn't sound like music, but the scale that it gives you is effectively there as a guide to help you just jam. It's pretty much what it's for. As I said, it's primarily designed to help you get used to the idea of playing with a band and with other people. But the band in this case is going to dynamically adjust to how you're playing. So it's a nice little feature, but as I said, it's a little bit beyond me at the minute. I can't quite get used to it. Now I'll quickly go through a couple of things in the options. So firstly, as well as being able to effectively define how your headstock looks and all of that, there's a couple of options in here that are useful. For example, you have select handedness, which just allows you to select whether or not you pick with your right hand or your left hand, effectively whether you're left or right-handed. You have the ability to invert strings. Now, as you saw previously, the large E string, I can't remember whether it's called the low E string or not, but it was coloured in red. The large string on my guitar is basically on the top by default. Now, the reason for that is effectively because the game is trying to create a mirror image of your guitar, or effectively how you're holding your guitar. But if you're a little bit more seasoned, then you might know how to read tabulation. Now, tabulation is effectively written guitar music, but the thing with tabulation is that it's written from the highest string is at the top. So this one down here is actually written on the top line. And if you're used to reading tabulation, then seeing effectively the large or the low string or the high string, I forget what it's called, the red string at the top will be, it might not be the easiest for you to read. So you can invert strings and effectively make it look like tabulation. The other useful thing in the option other than so like basic audio and visual settings is the mixer, which is pretty much as it sounds like. It gives you the ability to mix each of the different tracks so that it's a level to your taste. Now, as you can see, I've effectively changed my guitar level down by 20%. And the reason for that is that I prefer to only just hear my guitar over the top of the music. I don't want it to drown it out, partly because I know I'm playing badly, and if I do that, I will hear it worse. But I like to be able to effectively hear it above it, but only just, so that I can still listen to the music and try and keep in time, but I can still hear when I'm making mistakes. So that's why I have it set at that. Other people prefer to hear their guitar louder than everything else, so they'll move the music volume down and keep their guitar level up. But the mixer effectively allows you to decide how you want that set up. Okay, I think that pretty much covers it. So before I finish, I'm going to try this again because this is the second time I recorded this video and the last time it went poorly. Well, everything went poorly. I think things have gone better this time, but I'm probably still going to mess this up. But I'm going to play one of my more favourite songs. It's probably a track that's at the limit of my ability. I know I can play it, and I know I can play it reasonably. But yeah, as I said, it's towards the limit of my ability, so it will give you an idea. Effectively, I've been playing this game about for 100 hours over the last year plus, a little over a year. So that's less than an hour's worth a day, which isn't really enough to get properly be practicing. You should probably want to be learning at least an hour's worth a day, but yeah. So with how much I've played it, this is effectively how far that I've progressed. So we will give it another try and we'll see whether or not I can play it properly this time.
Learn a song.
Now this will also give me the chance to tell you about Master Mode. Now, Master Mode in the original game basically once you learned how to or once you'd raised the level of each individual phase to 100% and then got a score of over 10,000, sorry, 100,000, get there eventually, and got a score of over 100,000, it unlocked Master Mode. Now, Master Mode basically just allowed you to play the song without the Noteway. It basically just removed it. The idea being that Master Mode, you would have learned how to memorize it by that point, which of course is not particularly useful. That it's like you've been relying on the Noteway and then suddenly it's gone. So they've improved how Master Mode works. Rather than it simply just outright removing it, it will slowly fade away. And if you start forgetting how the notes in them, it will bring bring it back until you're playing it from memory. And as I've already learnt all of these sections, although not mastered them, you'll notice that some of them will be faded and others may have disappeared entirely. My throat's getting dry, so it's a good job I'm not going to be talking through this next bit. So we'll see how well I can do this now. not plucking right. Missed the first one again. Keep forgetting that's there. Focus. Here. I think that went better than last time. Last time went pretty poorly, but this time I've been not picking properly.
Superb performance.
No, apparently that went worse than last time. Never mind, it sounded better than last time. That's what matters. But yeah, I think I'll leave it there because clearly I'm wearing myself out. And my voice is going now anyway, so yeah. I would definitely recommend people look at this game if they're seriously considering learning guitar, or if they're considering learning guitar. The main things to bear in mind is effectively this game is about 40 quid, and that's without this cable, which costs another 20 quid. And that's before you even remember the fact that you need a real guitar to use this game. Now, if you only have a passing interest of learning, excuse me, then you can just buy a relatively cheap guitar, and you should be able to get it to work. But if you have, if you're properly considering it, then your best bet is actually to go down to a music store and actually try some of the cheap, or talk to them about it and try some of the budget guitars there, because there are pages online that will tell you that effectively most of them will probably tell you that this guitar I've got here, the Epson Les Paul Standard, It's probably one of the best beginner guitars you can get for the money. But the general advice from people who actually play guitars is effectively that you should go down, get the guitars in your hand and actually like play them, get the feel for them and see which ones you like the feel of and which you like the sound of. So that's the general consensus. So certainly I would definitely recommend giving this game consideration if you're looking at learning guitar, or if you have a guitar and you just want to pick it up and actually try it, then this game's definitely worth your time. But yeah, I think that's enough of me making an ass of myself. So I would thank you very much for watching, and feel free to comment on how bad my technique is. But in all seriousness, one of the downfalls of using nothing but a game like this is that the advantage of having a music teacher or someone teaching you music, how to play guitar, is that they can point out when your technique is bad and what you can be doing better. This game can only point out when you have missed notes and not hit the right notes, or whether your technique is off to the point that it doesn't sound right, rather than actually being comfortable or playing smoothly. So the game's no substitute for a teacher, and so likewise, if you can point out effectively anything that's particularly bad with my technique, then please let me know, because I will not know otherwise. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it. So I will say it again. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time.